Good afternoon, Anand. Thank you for joining us today with us at EJable. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you and get to know about your experience. And also I'm sure that our viewers will find it very helpful to hear your experience here in Japan. So if you could please begin with your small introduction, that would be very helpful.
Hi, Ryoko. Good evening. Thanks for setting up this call. I'm really happy to talk to you and share my experience, which hopefully helps other candidates who are considering moving to Japan. So, yeah, sure. I'll give a quick intro about myself.
Mhm.
So, I'm Anand. I'm a senior software engineer, currently working in SmartNews here in Tokyo. And uh, Smart News is a very popular news aggregator platform, and uh, we are using machine learning and AI to recommend news to the users. And I'm working in one of their core teams, which is very exciting. And yeah, I'm happy to answer your questions.
Great. Then to begin with, where are you originally from and how and when did you come to Japan?
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Mumbai in India. I came to Japan in early 2017, so
Okay.
about 6.5 years ago.
Mhm. I see. And was it simply just to seek opportunities in terms of the IT field in Japan, or was there any personal interest in going to Japan as well?
So, to be honest, I wasn't really looking actively pursuing any opportunities in Japan.
Mhm.
It's so actually I was going to US for higher education,
Right.
and I had a friend who was working in Japan,
Mhm.
and she referred me for a job, and I happened to get the job offer, and initially I was a bit reluctant.
Mhm.
But I deferred my admit and I thought I'll just maybe explore Japan for 6 to 12 months and see. And yeah, that was my initial thing. But yeah, I never planned on coming, but I'm glad that it happened.
Okay, so it was something that you kind of stumbled upon and you were a bit hesitant. What made you stay for such like for now like 6 years? What was the key point that made you want to stay or explore other companies and fields here in Japan?
Right. So initially, the reluctance that I had was mainly because I did not have a lot of friends here. So I had other friends who had
Mm,
moved to other countries for higher education
right.
or work. Uh, at least 6 years, 6.5 years back, I didn't see many people from my college or university coming
Mhm.
to Japan. So that was my reluctance. But after coming here, I was really happy. I met a lot of experts here. There is a lot of thriving international community, really great engineers.
Mhm.
So yes, as I mentioned, I just wanted to like try for 6 to 12 months,
Yeah.
and what I wanted to essentially test is one was as I was planning to do a higher education, but then I realized that even after the higher education that I would do in another country, the
Mhm.
kind of work that I will do will be pretty much the same, what I'm already doing. So it didn't make sense for me to, just get that education and then go back to working. I
Mhm.
can just learn while I'm working. So that was a good thing. And I was fortunate enough to get like good mentors, people around me that I
Mhm.
was able to learn and grow.
Okay, amazing. Then over the past 6 years, have you learned to speak more Japanese? Is it something that you need to have in your daily life within work or in outside of work?
So I can speak very basic Japanese, maybe order food at restaurant, ask for directions, maybe do a small talk. But I'm not like very proficient at Japanese. Uh, a lot of companies, my current company and my past companies, they do sponsor Japanese education. So I've taken few courses as well.
Mhm.
But over the years, I've not needed Japanese actively
Okay.
in my day-to-day work. And as they say, that necessity is mother of all teachers. And so far, it's not been like a do or die for me in terms
Mhm.
of learning Japanese. You can pretty much do everything, especially in Tokyo,
Mhm.
and maybe outside Tokyo if you go to a remote place or
Yeah.
taking a vacation, but still people are very friendly, and your life shouldn't you shouldn't have any problem without Japanese. Although this is something I would not recommend uh, to people who are considering. I'm being lazy, but yeah, you should definitely learn.
Okay, great. That's very nice. Then, touching upon your current position in Smart News, what do you like that you do at Smart News?
Sure. So currently, as I mentioned, I'm working as an engineer and news ranking team within Smart News. So news ranking is one of the core systems within Smart News.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy that I get to work on one of the most critical systems in our company. And what I really like about Smart News is that it has one of the best engineering cultures. A lot of decisions that go into product design development are mostly bottom up. It's not like management just gives you an
Ah,
order and everyone does it. So that is something I really like. There are a lot of diverse people from diverse background. In fact, in Tokyo office, if I'm not mistaken, there are people from about 18 different nationalities.
wow.
We have offices in other countries as well, US, China. I work with global teams, so I get to interact with people from other countries.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm really happy with my current position and work.
Okay. Then, in terms of, well, you said that your team is more like bottom up, but in terms of like project execution, have you had any differences or some things that you had to adopt coming from India to Japan?
So one correction, I didn't mean it was bottom up just from my team. I think it's in
Oh,
general in Smart News, it's
okay.
mostly bottom up.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, coming to your other part, the difference between working in Japan and in India. So, I have about 9.5 years of work experience, out
Hmm.
of which I would now say almost close to 7 years it's been in Japan.
Okay.
So, I think I have more work experience in Japan, so I might not have a right picture about comparing the Japan working in
Hmm.
Japan versus working in my country. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess maybe something that I'm curious is about is I see that you have been working in several companies since you've been here.
Right.
Do you see some changes in terms of the way we work, either, if it's like hybrid or if there's been more international workers here over the past 6 years?
Right. So, yes, there is definitely a lot of foreigners a number of foreign candidates that I'm seeing in the last 6 years. Also, a lot of companies are also opening up to and having companies outside Japan. Earlier, I think it was very difficult. Maybe 10 years back, if someone wanted to work in Japan, they probably needed some level of proficiency in Japanese,
Right.
which is not true anymore. A lot of companies are sponsoring candidates without having Japanese. So yeah, things have definitely changed in terms of working environment as well.
Mhm.
Companies are embracing remote work or hybrid work. In fact, my company also has a hybrid work culture,
Mhm.
and they do understand that at the end of the day, it's what matters is getting things done. And
Okay.
as long as people are doing that, I think companies are quite supportive.
Okay, nice. Because I feel like a lot of us, and even within Japanese people who are going into just entering the labor force, we have this image and that, we Japanese people are workaholic and we work from 9 to 12 or something like that. And I feel like this is in some cases it could be true, but there's a lot of misconceptions. And you mentioned that there were some misconceptions that you encountered when you were talking to friends back home. So do you have anything that you would or you can clarify on in terms of the many misconceptions that many might have?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of stereotypes and narratives that people have heard that people commit suicide because of overwork, and people are there is just a lot of work. People don't have personal life. which in my experience in the last 6.5 years is far from truth. I've never experienced that kind of things, nor have I seen that kind of behavior with any of my colleagues or friends. So I think that's probably uh, uh, just old fable and not true anymore.
Mhm.
Uh, as you are also aware, like Japanese labor laws are quite strict and one of the pro employee in the world. Uh,
Okay.
in case of, for example, I remember in one of my other companies, and you are not supposed to do overtime out of after certain hours, and it's strictly logged,
Mhm.
and they send that data over to government. So I think that way, even government is probably has recognized that Japan used to have probably a bad image, and they've taken several steps to mitigate that.
Okay.
And yeah, I think in the different companies I've worked in Japan, I've had a good work-life balance.
Okay.
Uh, and I think my managers, like I had Japanese managers or other non-Japanese managers as well, and they were quite understanding and helpful. So in terms of work stress burden,
Mm.
I've not experienced that, and I'm sure that's not true for most of the companies that at least the overseas candidates are looking for.
Okay. Amazing. That's very good to hear, and I'm sure our viewers are happy to hear that. Then, final questions regarding your work. Do you plan to stay longer here in Japan, and do you have any goals within your career here in Japan?
Right. So yeah, it's funny how I was just planning to stay in Japan for like 6 to 12 months, and it's been like more than 6.5 years now.
Yeah.
So I do not have a clear plan, to be honest, as of now. I'm really
Mhm.
enjoying my life here in Japan.
Mhm.
And my wife is also working in Japan here as well. She too enjoys it, and yeah, we both are quite satisfied and would definitely look forward to working in Japan for long term.
Mhm.
In terms of career goals, uh, I'm a software engineer, and like I would like to develop myself as a more senior individual contributor, maybe principal developer or like a system architect going ahead. And that is also for just since we are just discussing about Japan and how it has changed.
Mhm.
Probably, I think 5 or 6 years back, if someone
Mhm.
said that they want to be an individual contributor, like a very senior engineer,
Mhm.
there wasn't a clear path. I mean, in they like if you wanted to get promoted in
Mhm.
Japan, you always kind of had to become some manager.
Uh-huh.
So but I've seen that great change happen, and a lot of companies have like a separate path for individual contributors who don't want to get into management but are really interested in working as engineering source. So yeah, a lot of exciting things happening here in
Okay.
Japan.
Amazing. That sounds great. Then, moving on to your social life, basically outside of work, what aspects of Japan or the culture that we have do you like about?
Uh, there are a lot of things actually. So one is in general the cleanliness. I think it's deep rooted within the society. Like I really like and appreciate how they even teach kids to keep their school, their classes clean.
Right.
That is one thing. The other
Yeah.
thing is attention to detail.
Mhm.
Like it's evident from the fine craftsmanship that you see in the Japanese brands, or whatever, whichever brands you pick.
Yeah.
Uh, Doing something to perfection, no matter how small it is,
Mhm.
that can be seen in every aspect of Japanese society,
Mhm.
including the work that I'm doing, even in IT. Uh, so that is other thing. Of course, there are other things like hospitality, deep reverence for nature, and things like that. So yeah.
Amazing. Then, what do you like to do in your free time?
Uh, so I play guitar. So yeah, I usually maybe meet friends on weekend. We jam along.
Mhm.
I really like that there are a lot of studios that you can rent around Tokyo, so you can meet friends. Then I do have a blog, so sometimes I do write some articles. just random topics
Mhm.
that I like. And yeah, I like playing video games, so I do that.
Amazing. Then, have you visited around Japan as well?
Yes, I've been to several places.
Then, would you still prefer to live in Tokyo? Because I see that worldwide we see Tokyo as a big metropolitan city. It's very crowded and it's very busy, and I'm sure some people are hesitant to live in such busy and chaotic space. What do you think about living in Tokyo?
Well, I personally like the busyness and the crowd, the liveliness of Tokyo.
Mhm,
What's unique is that in spite of having so much crowd and like it being a very busy, bustling city, there
mhm,
is always a park at stone's throw away. Like wherever you live, there is like a beautiful park, like springs, uh,
yes.
and it's really beautiful and calm. So whenever I want like an off time or like when I want to go away from the city, there are patches within the city that you can just go and forget the city. So that's what I really like about Tokyo, and probably I wouldn't want to move anywhere else than Tokyo.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been to some countries abroad, but in some countries it's really hard to find a park or even just park where kids can play. So I
Right.
think, yeah, having that here in Tokyo is very nice to see. Yeah, great. Then, yeah, I guess I moving on to maybe tips or advice that you may have for people who will be going through, interviews or yeah, just yeah, process of getting a job here in Japan. Do you have any tips or advice that you could give?
Right. So I think it's very important to list down the companies that you're interested in. So when you're looking for the to move to Japan, you should definitely come up with a list
Hmm.
because, as I mentioned, that you don't want to pick a company which is which is like a stereotyped Japanese company. Although they might not be hiring overseas, so that's fine. So shortlist the companies. The interview process can vary a lot depending on companies. So I would say that you should have a good, and it can be quite lengthy. Like I would say like at least 1 to 4 or 5 months, depending on the company that you're applying to. It can be that long as well.
Okay.
So one should be prepared for a longer interview process.
Hmm.
The other thing is uh, the actual process. So some companies they they are more like they might have a standard like tests that you need to give. Some
Okay.
of them which are just like kind of you either pass or fail. Like
Uh-huh.
either it's a coding test or
Oh,
some
great.
quiz or something like that. Some other companies they have more like a subjective test. So they will give you assignment, take home assignment. Maybe
Oh,
you work on it for like a week or two,
mhm.
and so of course you need to invest a lot of time, but at the same
Mhm.
time it gives the company and you it gives you a good opportunity to display your skills.
Yes.
So definitely I would advise people to do their thorough research on this.
Hmm.
And then apart from this, I would also advise people to look at startups. So there are a lot of startups in Japan, in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I think government has a lot of initiatives and different visa categories as well for startups.
Okay.
So so that's really good. I think if you're overseas, do not worry that if you're applying to startup, whether they'll be able to accommodate
Mm.
you or help you with immigration or things like that. It's pretty smooth,
Okay.
and you should be open to exploring smaller companies as well.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I see a lot of advertisement even in trains with, promoting startups. So, yeah, that's a great advice. Yes, thank you very much. Then any questions from me? I don't have any more questions. Do you have any comments that you wish to add?
Uh, well, I think so. From my personal experience, if someone's really looking to come to Japan or are in a dilemma whether they should come or not, I think you should just come, see for yourself. like I did. A
Yeah.
lot of my friends and family also were a bit reluctant and advised me against going.
Okay.
But I think I made the best decision. So there's no harm in just, coming here, seeing it
Right.
yourself, rather
Yeah.
than asking for opinions from 10 different people. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. That's a great advice. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I had a great time getting to know you better and your experience here. And yeah, I wish you for the best of luck in future. Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you. It was really nice talking to you as well.